Hello, my friends. John LaRufi here with another Straight Up Solo. And in this episode, we are going to look at the top 10 best solo games of 2023. Now, this year has been a bumper crop of good games that have come out with solo modes. And it was just, there was so many that really blew my mind. And so I was waiting to make this list kind of impatiently because I wanted to wait till the end of the year. But also, there was still some that came in that I wanted to try out, and some that really just exploded my experience, and some that kind of let me down, and some that were okay. But I promise you, I have 10 real gems for you today to see. And so let's go ahead and get right into it. And of course, any top 10 list is very subjective, right? But this is my take on my favorite, my top 10 favorites for 2023. So let's go ahead and get started. And of course, all of these are from a solo perspective. The first one, number 10, will be Great Western Trail, New Zealand. Now, Great Western Trail, New Zealand took, in my opinion, the best parts of the original Great Western Trail and its expansion and kind of melded it also with a little bit from the Argentina one and just put it together and then added mechanics to it to make a fantastic experience. There is a lot going on in this game. This is a big, tough game to jump off in if you've never played any of the Great Western Trails, but there's just so much to appreciate about it. It is by any means non-linear. There's lots of different ways you can go with your strategy. The usual stuff of building up your cattle is there, and going through the variable rondels, so to speak, and everything else. But then there's the boat spaces, which change up things significantly, but still kind of remind me a little bit of the expansion to the original. Then there's the multi-use cards, though. So you've got, it's not just for the cattle points now, it's also for things that can help you to sell your wool. Okay, obviously there's no cattle in this, it's sheep, but you can sell wool, and that opens up a completely different way. And you still have the joy of the bonuses and also, the advancing your stuff on different tracks. I mean, this is just such a good game, such a great one. And if you're kind of hemming and hawing of which one of these Great Western Trail games should I get, and you're a seasoned gamer, I think that New Zealand provides my favorite solo experience and my favorite experience in general. So that is number 10. Now, number 9 was a very nice surprise. I love the theme. I enjoy the whole aspect of this game, and the mechanics really fit well with what you were actually doing. It fit well with the kinds of things that you would do in real life with regards to this subject matter expertise, and that is Distilled. This game is awesome, a spirited strategy game. From a solo standpoint, this game is fantastic. Now, why is it so fantastic? Well, the first thing is it does a really good job making the theme fit with the mechanics. You are essentially taking the raw ingredients and putting them in your still and trying to distill different spirits. And in doing that, you may or may not like the outcome of what happens. And I think that is really cool. But what makes this really fun, and not just kind of a blah, beat your own score, is the condition cards in the solo force you to try different things in sort of a pyramid to see if you can accomplish these goals and score and do all these other things. So it really puts your brain through a very enjoyable exercise. And because there's so much content, there's so many different things that you can do with your recipe cards and everything else, and the amount of cards in the base game, and if you throw in the expansion too, just so much to do. I love Distilled. It was so good. And I don't know if it's because of my chemical engineering, education, or the fact that I just like, a lot of the spirits that are in this game, or whatever the deal is, but I really found it enjoyable, and the mechanics and everything kind of exceeded my expectations. I backed it because of the theme, and I was hopeful that it wouldn't just be kind of a mediocre game, and it wasn't. It was great. All right, now number 8. Number 8 is a game again that built on the shoulders of giants this year and took things from previous games in the series and combined them and enhanced them and added more variety and pizzazz, and that is Age of Innovation. Now, the only thing that I think was missed in this game, the only miss, I think, is that the theme is sort of, they could have done a better job, I think. They use the Terra Mystica kind of style and theme to do this game, but I'm telling you, if they had just changed it up a little bit and hadn't been the similar kind of situation, I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter. This game, in my opinion, is by far the cream of the crop of the Terra Mystica Gaia Project type games. And the reason is, I think it took everything that was fun from the other games, put it together, enhanced it, and then breathed even more variety into it. So everything here can be mixed and matched in a way that the other games didn't quite have. And that has to do with the way that you select your race, the way that you, or however you want to look at it, the faction, the guild, whatever, plus the technology, plus the bonuses, they all kind of went in to a really unique combination of your powers. And then you had a bunch of variable buildings that would come out that you would draw on, and then you have the better version, I think, of the technologies, not just going up tracks, but you've got a way to do these enhancements, these innovations, and I just felt like they were more fun than anything that was in Terra Mystica. And then the one thing I had a tough time with and didn't really enjoy with all that much with regards to Gaia Project was the travel mechanism. It was always, that moving from planet to planet was always kind of I felt always constrained. In this game, you don't have that, but you do have all the great things that I liked about Gaia Project, which is kind of where as you invested in things, you unlocked more stuff. And that's kind of built into the combination of the innovation bonuses and the innovation tiles in this game. Not just one-time things, but just, they really added the mechanics. I just really liked that game. It was a fantastic addition. And I actually parted with my other ones because the solo mode is so good. It's so easy to run. It's just great. I love it. So that is a clear winner of a game, in my opinion, for 2023. So that was number 8. Now, number 7 is the one on this list that is not going to be for everybody. But I couldn't not mention it because I think it was an amazing achievement and it did such a good job knocking the content out of the park without being divisive and really giving you the impression, the feel that what you were doing was like the theme. And that is Mr. President. Mr. President, the American presidency, 2001 to 2001 to 2020. This game is a gigantic investment in time, a gigantic investment in table space and in learning, and it is unique in and of itself. But what I can tell you about this game is that I struggle to find a more fun simulator of something that adds such breadth and depth to it, to the point where I still am in awe of the design here. They took a politically, a game steeped in politics, and they stripped the politics out of it. So it doesn't matter whether you lean left or you lean right. You are pro-Democrat, pro-Republican. It doesn't matter at all. You can play that game and you will not feel like you are being triggered, or how you want to put it. Whatever the word is you want to use. You can play that game and you still get the huge sense of running the country and dealing with all the world problems without getting any bias into which side did it better or worse. It's just an awesome game. Now, the only issue with it is a very heavy lookup game. And I don't say it's an issue because I don't mind it at all. But I think it would be an issue for some people, which is why I don't recommend it for everybody. You'd have to do your research. But you're spending most of that game looking up things in tables to see what happens and how you're going to react to it. Once you get the hang of the actions, you will understand what you're supposed to do to react to those things. But a considerable amount of the gameplay is looking things up, seeing what happens in the world stage, the domestic stage, how do these dice rolls happen, etc., etc. And for a full, 4-year game, you're probably looking at a good 12 hours. So you need a place to set this thing up, and either a full day to dedicate to it, which I think would be too much for me, or a week or so to kind of chip away and work at it, a few hours here, a few hours there. And that's the way I recommend playing it. Solo only game, but a fantastic game. Not for everybody, for sure, but I loved it. Okay, so that was number 7. Number 6, one of my all-time favorite designers released a real gem this year, and that gem included a couple of additional expansions when I backed it. And this game embodies the dryness of a Euro with the excitement of a Euro, right? And that is Oranienburger Kanal. Now, this game in of itself has, in a lot of ways, it is pretty dry, okay? There's no doubt about it. The theme and such and what you're doing, it all takes place on this grid. So it doesn't have something that jumps out to you and like has an amazing curb appeal or an amazing thematic experience like I've described to you before. But what it does is it provides an amazing solo puzzle to really help you rack your brain on how to get the most out of what you've been dealing with. The cards that come out, how they interact, when they score or turn on or whatever you want to say, activate, how to reactivate them again, all the timing involved, and the fact that you only have a couple of actions in this game. You really do. You have 7 actions. There's not a ton of things you're doing as far as the mechanics. It's all about that card interaction and how these different cards interact with one another. And there's so much there, especially when you have those additional little expansion decks. They really provide a fantastic experience. I loved Oranienburger Kanal. I thought that was a great, nice meat and potatoes game we haven't seen from Uwe in a while, but definitely a keeper and a really nice surprise in 2023. I backed it a while ago. I was so happy it finally came out, and I enjoyed every single play that I had of it. All right, so now my top 5 here, I think, are just phenomenal games, but especially they provide, when I'm playing these games, these next 5, I have such joy and such excitement. It makes me giddy. I want to play again immediately. It's like I can't get enough of these, and that is a very rare experience for me these days because I've played so many things, right? And I've enjoyed so many different games, but this 5, I would say these are some of the finest games I've ever played in my entire life, and they're just that much fun. There's just so much to contemplate, so much to enjoy. So number 5 is going to be the newest of the South Tigris series, Scholars of the South Tigris. My goodness, do I love this game. I only recently acquired it, but I have dumped in play after play after play because it is just so much fun. I don't know what it is about it specifically. It's just an enjoyable game to play. There's so much to consider. The actions are fun. The interactions with the cards are fun. What you're doing is fun. The linkage between I've got to get this, then this, then this is good. The solo play is great. They do a good job. It feels competitive even though I haven't won yet. I've been close. I just really like this. I think that it is probably my favorite of all of the Shem Phillips games that he's done. And I've liked a lot of his games. I still have a lot of his games in my collection. But this one really just hits it into the sweet spot. And every time I play it, it's just like, oh man, there's so much goodness here. And especially the research track and what you focus on and the way you have to do how long can I get my translations going so I can pay all my guys to score and give me these huge benefits of now being under my cards to make the actions better. Just love it. And so Scholars of the South Tigris is one that I highly recommend and really, really, really enjoy. So that was number 5. Number 4 has a novel mechanic that I've never seen, and it does it so well that to me is just absolute genius. And when I backed this game, I backed it in Kickstarter a while ago, I don't even remember what really pushed me over the edge. I think I had this vague understanding that it looked interesting to me, but I had no idea the excitement I was going to get out of playing it and how much I was going to enjoy it. And that is Arboria. Okay, Arboria is a very, very busy looking, bright looking game board wise. There's all sorts of stuff going on here. This game is all about the delayed mechanism, the delayed mechanics of putting people on tracks and figuring out when you want to get off to get all these different rewards. That in of itself is quite satisfying. And you want to be able to do that because you're trying to pay for these different land cards that you can then attract animals to and put them in spots to match their desires. And that is all really cool. But that's all been sort of done in one way or another, although I really like it. I think it's a much more rewarding feeling than the Zolkin was years ago, where you put something on a wheel and then it would slowly turn. These things move a lot faster, and you have movement coupled with other people, and so it drives it forward with a much more direct and exciting pace. But what blew me away was the communal way you gathered goods. And if you didn't use the goods, they scored you a ton of points. So there was always this incentive to gather goods and maybe just leave them there just to get heaping loads of points. But boy, I need those goods for what I'm doing because they're scarce, and it was an amazing amount of tension. And the solo bot plays really well. It's very easy to scale it one way or the other. It's straightforward of what you're doing. I did get the expansion inside there with the river, which also adds a nice element to it, which adds 3 more different spirits. Just really, really an enjoyable game, and blew me away when I played it the first couple times because of the fun of trying to maximize when I would take the action, holding out to when I needed it, but sometimes breaking because I needed it sooner than that. And I wanted to take whatever I could. Didn't want to waste my time, necessarily wasting time, but I didn't want to invest any more time because I needed to have a good turn. And then that resource mechanic was just so fantastic. I just absolutely loved it. And I still think this game is one of the best games I've ever played because it's novel, it's new, it does something different. And that is so enjoyable for me as a seasoned gamer, having played for so many years, to see something like that. So Arboria, oh boy, I can't say enough good stuff about it. All right, now here's another one. Number 3 was a long delayed, took forever Kickstarter to finally deliver. And it felt like I was never gonna get this game. I don't even remember when I backed it, but it seems like it was in Kickstarter land for over 2 years, maybe even 3. But when I got it, it was so worth it. And the reason is that this game does things that I like a lot, which is it rewards you with different mechanics and all sorts of things pulling you in different directions to do different things. And everything you do is satisfying in one way or another. And that is Darwin's Journey. Now, Darwin's Journey, I got the deluxe version of this. You really can't tell a lot from the back here, but you can see this bottom area right here. This is the journey through the Galapagos Islands. And the Galapagos Islands presents kind of like a track where you are picking up different rewards as you explore. And that, to me, was so fun to try to drive deeper into these things, get these resources, get to the discoveries you wanted faster. But at the same time, you wanted to get bigger and better actions out of your guys, so you try to train them. And then when you put in the expansion that adds the additional islands and more of the ships and more tracks, it was just phenomenal experience, just a gem. And one of those games where I was playing it and just like literally almost just giggling to myself. I was having such fun. I just love that game. I think it was worth the wait. I'm never going to get rid of it. I'm always going to enjoy playing it. And I haven't even explored all the content yet. And shame on me for that. But there's a lot of different expansions I got with the Kickstarter version. They have nuances of different things here and there. So there's just still so much to discover, and I can't wait to keep doing it. But it was just such an unexpected gem. Yeah, it looked interesting when I kickstarted it, but I never knew it was going to be so much fun to play. And it really was. So that was fantastic. I highly recommend Darwin's Journey if you like European flavored board games. And of course, most of these are Euro games, right? That is my meat and potatoes. That's the bread and butter I like the most. But that one was really a nice treat and a great surprise. Okay, the difficulty between selecting number 1 and number 2 was tough. But I had to make the choice based on novelty and newness and original ideas. So that's how I discovered both, or I rated both of these. But these are both clear 10s in my opinion, and some of the best games I've ever played, period. In 2 decades of playing games, these are phenomenal. Now, the first one took some mechanisms that I liked, put them together from one game, took mechanisms I liked from another game, put those together too. And it was kind of like those 2 games had a successor child, and this game then rolled that together, provided even more fun, and then also put in an awesome playing, very fun solo mode that takes a little to learn. There's no doubt about it. It took me a little bit, but I absolutely enjoyed every single play I've had of this so far, and I can't wait to continue to play it. And that is Nucleum. Nucleum is a clear 10 out of 10 in my book. It is an exciting game to play from top to bottom, from start to finish. I love it. I love the pacing. I love what you're doing here. It reminds me so much of Brass, which is one of my favorite games of all time also, but was missing a good soul. And I know there's the Automa or the Modema. I got it. I'm just, we'll table that. But this game has it built in. But what I really liked about this game that I think is superior to Brass is I loved the action tiles that you had to use to either take actions and or flip over to lose to do the rails. I thought that was such a cool idea of, all right, I got this sweet deal, but oh, there's some awesome places to put on the board. But if I keep it, I'll be able to use it again and again. So what do I do? How do I, how much do I want to keep? How much do I want to expand? It did such a good job providing that tension there. And every time I've played it, I've just been elated with how much fun I'm having. I love how there's so many different technologies. So there's literally 4 different roles to play as far as the research goes. So you can vary it up. There's a ton of different goals. There's a ton of different things that can happen. The way the board comes out will change the way you play. And although I have only played on the 2-player side, you could run 2 bots if you wanted on the other side. And I may end up trying that in the future just to get some additional variety, but I've been very satisfied with how it plays just from that solo standpoint between myself and the bot. So Nucleum is one of my favorite games of all time. It's definitely in my top 10 of all time, and it was number 2 in this year, but oh, so good. So good. I can't wait to continue to play this over and over again into the new year and just keep breaking it out and enjoying it. All right, finally, my number 1. My number 1 to me has the most novel, the most novel concept, the most content, the most playability, the most excitement, the most robust way to experience it as far as solo is concerned, but it also has a co-op mode and a multiplayer mode and so much stuff. So many different factions, so many different avenues of approach you could take, so many different setups, so many scenarios. You could play this game all year if you wanted to. I couldn't believe, again, a game that I thought looked cool, but I never understood when I backed it how much I was going to enjoy it. And this one is clearly my game of the year and is probably one of my favorite games of all time. And I've got to lift it up because it's so heavy. Voidfall, everybody, Voidfall. This is the game. This is the game right here. I don't even know where to begin. Number 1, it is a beefy game. It takes up the whole table. It takes up a lot of time to learn. It takes a ton of time to set up. But every single bit of that is worth it. Every single bit of it provides a joyful experience. There are so many different factions you can play that all feel so different. The cards are different. The actions are different. The actions are complex and interwoven with mechanisms and things that just drag you to want you to do all these different things all at once, and you can't. But it rewards really strategic, smart play, denying the bot the points that it will get. And also trying to watch your back because, the more you spread out, the more at risk you are for things to kind of overcome you and take over what you're doing. The sweet, awesome different technologies that come up and they vary from game to game. The different setups, the scenarios. There's, I think there's 8 solo scenarios. And then there's a bunch of co-ops if you really want to play two-handed. And then, of course, the multiplayer. But just an unbelievable accomplishment. That game is fantastic. Now, it is very heavy. There's no doubt about it. Learning the game, the way they put it together in the tutorial from a solo standpoint was a little bit rough, but it was worth every last little bit of effort, and I can't recommend Voidfall enough. It is definitely my top 10 number one game of 2023, and who knows, we'll see as things go, but it could be one of my absolute favorite games of all time, if not my favorite game of all time. Every time I play it, I feel like I could have done better. And when I pull off something, it all interweaves, and I've been able to satisfy all the different things that are pulling at you from a solo standpoint, from all the conditions and the crisis cards and everything else, and you can find ways to just work them through and put out this fire and deal with that crisis and still accomplish your objective and maximize those scoring goals. Oh my goodness, is there a lot there. So that one is a game that I can't speak highly enough of. But either way, anyway, so much good in 2023. I mean, I'm looking forward to 2024, but honestly, if nothing came out, I think I'd be satisfied for a very, very long time, because this year has been like I said, a bumper crop of solo goodness. So those are my top 10 picks for this year. I'm interested to see if any of the ones that you rated higher for release this year, I missed, or something that you liked that I didn't, or something that I loved but you hated. You know, I'm just, please leave me your comments. You know, I do my absolute best to respond to every single one of them, and for the most part, I pretty much do. So let me know what you think. Let me know what your top 10 or your top number one game was in 2023, or your top couple. But thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate everybody. And whatever you decide to do in the future, I really hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Thanks. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and keep supporting me by just watching. That's all you got to do. Take it easy, everybody.